Good morning, coasters. Now today, it's my privilege to go and chat with a young lady from a South Westland family. A young lady with a couple of kids, partner, and a real life. A horsey girl. A couple of weeks ago, or in fact approximately a month ago, she was diagnosed with motor neuron disease. It's a disease that's run through her family for many, many years, and a number have already fallen victim to it. She's asked me to try and throw some light on this terrible disease. This is Samarra Wright's story. Well, folks, Bruce here from the Coasters Club, and today I'm having an interview with Samarra Wright. She's a vibrant young woman. She's been wonderful for our community and still is wonderful. She's got a history that you won't believe, and with a change that's occurred in recent time, she's found out that she has motor neuron disease. So it's a hard thing for me actually to do the interview, but this is one very brave young lady. Samarra, what's your full name?
Samarra Wright.
Did you have a nickname when you were growing up?
Most people called me Sam, which I sort of let slide, but I didn't always like it. It always sort of reminded me of a pet dog name or something. Someone's big Labrador bouncing up to you called Sam, so I didn't really like it. But I let it slide sometimes, and sometimes people will sort of call me that, and I'll just sort of let it slide. But yeah, other than that, no. So,
what year were you born, and where were you born?
I was actually born in 1983 at at Greymouth Hospital, because Westland Hospital had apparently just closed. So
I remember that.
Yes, I was. I'm not a born and bred Hokie girl. Actually, I'm born in Greymouth.
I think most of my kids were as well.
Yeah,
that's just the way it goes. Now, who are your mum and dad?
My mother was Vivian, so she also lost her life to motor neuron disease, and I was actually raised by my auntie and uncle, by Jeff Williams and Julie Taggart out how I was raised up, basically born and bred in a stable, basically. So I spent most of my early days hanging around the racing stables and getting chucked on the back of crazy big thoroughbred horses, and there's actually photos of me when I was only a little wee baby sitting on a horse, so someone holding me, and that was up the Hokitika racecourse. So most of my early days were spent up there.
So where was your first home?
Actually here at my nana's house.
In this house here?
In this actual house, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when you were a kid, what did you do for fun? Because it's different. Like today, they've got their iPads and their thingamajigs. What did you do?
I lived and breathed horses and ponies. I actually, when I was about just about to turn 6, I actually moved to Christchurch and went to Max Skelton's Sandow riding school over there. So, Max Skelton, being one of the Skelton brothers, was of course a bit of a legend, and I was lucky enough to be educated by some amazing horse people over there, and I sort of got taken under their wing because I sort of had a bit of a rough home and that growing up and over there, and so people sort of took me under their wing that had a lot of experience, and I had British Horse Society instructors sort of barking at me all the time, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was really good. So
one of
my escape was the ponies.
So one of the Skeltons was the top New Zealand rider, wasn't he?
Yeah. There's actually quite a herd of them, brothers, and they're all just extraordinary horsemen. Extraordinary.
When you were a kid, was there a chore you had to do that you hated doing?
Probably picking up horse manure, as I'm sure most children these days would quite happily relate to that as well.
Did you ever read books?
Yes, I did. All I read was horse books. yeah, that was it.
Mind you, that'd be good.
Yeah, it was.
Now, whereabouts did you attend primary school?
I actually attended Hokitika Primary School, and then for a wee while I went to Russley School in Christchurch. I didn't really like it much there, so we ended up moving back to Hokitika and went back to Hoki Primary, and then moved on to Westland High only for a little bit though. I left school there when I was about 13, and I was just, my family sort of sent me away to Christchurch, and I went and worked in a racing stable over there to become an apprentice jockey, but I got too tall, so I still did correspondence school, but yeah, that was my forte.
Did you ever retain links with any of the kids at the primary school? Did you have friends that have continued through from primary school?
At Hoki?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like there's actually a crew of us who are all really still good friends now.
What sort of names?
Craig Smith.
Oh no, I know.
You know,
I know him. Oh.
There's quite a lot, and of course, being Hokitika a small town, most of us were cousins anyway. So yeah. So.
Now, let's stop that. We're talking about Reefton there, not Hokitika. Now, what about high school? Where did you attend high school?
I attended high school here, but then I ended up doing mostly correspondence school and finishing up my school through that.
Yep.
And I was a bit of a ruffian as a teenager, sort of went down a bit of the wrong track there for a while, and come out on the other side though, so that was good.
The wildest colts make the best horses.
Apparently so.
That's what I keep hearing. Now, if you had a favourite subject at either of the schools, what would it have been?
Surprisingly, probably English. Yeah,
right.
I was really good at English. I just couldn't do any maths. That was all.
Yeah, maths. I always found maths hard.
Yeah, it was bloody hard.
Did you have a favourite teacher? Can you remember one where you went, yeah, I really liked you? I remember Di.
Yeah, she really pulled out the best in everybody and sort of looked after the kids. She could sort of see that we're really struggling with life, and yep. She was really, really good. So
what school activities did you partake in? Did you play sports? It was really horses, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was always the pony club girl. I actually used to wag school and pack all my horse riding gear in my school bag, and I actually used to walk over the Hokitika Bridge, or bike over the Hoki Bridge over Southside to my horse paddock and spend all day with my horses and training and whatnot. And then I'd go to all these shows because I had the cheapest of everything, and I'd end up beating all these other kids, and everyone would be going, why is she going so good? And then I actually got busted. I think Bryce Bousfield was driving the school bus one day and actually seen me, and someone at school must have mentioned it. Mr. Bousfield actually busted me, and went back and told the teachers that I'd been wagging, and then they got hold of my parent, and I was in a bit of trouble for that, so I didn't do that in a hurry.
Short-term thing.
Yeah.
Short-term. Now, if you had a close friend when you were a teenager, how would that friend have described you? Were you quiet, outgoing, party girl? How would they have described you?
Probably a bit of everything, really.
This is a silly question, but as a child, what did you want to do when you grew up? I can pretty much answer that.
Oh, yeah, I was going to be a jockey. I was going to be the next Lance O'Sullivan. Yeah, absolutely. Or I was actually, I was obsessed with all the top equestrians like Mark Todd and all that. So, yeah, I was either going to go to the Olympics for New Zealand and ride an equestrian and eventing, or I was going to be a jockey.
Oh, I love it. Now, when you left school, you started on your work career and Foreman Aaron Taylor Racing Stables. What was that like?
Yeah, that was a really good experience. That was not that long ago. Aaron was actually an ex-partner of mine. He still remains a friend.
Right.
And it was really good. We trained quite a lot of winners in that together, which was really, really cool. And I actually learned, one thing about being in the equestrian industry, and actually a very wise woman called Nancy Coleman actually told me this once too, who's a very accomplished equestrian. you never ever stop learning. Even when you're 80, you'll still be learning things to do, and I definitely believe that you never know enough.
Yeah, I think that's very wise words. Now, what about you were a former strapper for the Hughes racing stables?
Yeah, I worked
What
for
was that
Kevin
like?
and Pam Hughes. Yep, that was when I first left school. Actually, when I think I was about 13 when I actually went there. And they at the time had some pretty top-notch horses, which was cool. So I got to ride some pretty accomplished gallopers.
What's
and learn
a
lot.
strapper?
Basically, you strap the horses up for race day and stuff.
Gotcha.
And get them all looking pretty and
Yep.
yeah, just look after them really.
And you've had a stint at Pam Robinson's racing?
Pam Robson, yeah, I worked for Pam as well when I first left school. Worked for her for a little bit, and Pam's still a good friend these days and has been a big help out as well. So yeah, no, she's a very, very accomplished horsewoman. Yeah.
What on earth is the former riding for naughty ponies?
Oh, that's at Sandown Riding School for Max Skelton. Yeah, that's what we used to probably be about 30 ponies there with quite big attitudes. So yeah, you definitely got to know a good one and a bad one.
So the idea was to get them on the straight and narrow. I guess.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Now it goes on here. Former stable hand and track rider at Williams Racing Stables.
Yeah, that was my uncle and my auntie Julie Taggart, who's been a great help to me lately and always is.
Isn't she a great person?
She's wonderful. Yeah, they had their racing stables out how there over by the 3 Mile Mill. So yeah, they had a lot of horses, and it was normally pretty mentally challenging working for your family. But I definitely learned how to have a good work ethic, and if you wanted something, you had to work for it. You just didn't get it given to you. If I wanted to go to a show and I needed something new, I couldn't just go, oh, I need a new bridle like kids do these days, and mum and dad go out and buy it straight away. It was like, oh, if you need a new bridle, well, then you've got to bloody well work for it, Get out there and work.
No free lunches, are
Oh,
there?
no.
Now, I've heard one of my sons and my wife telling me that you're a fitness trainer at Bodyworks.
I was, yeah. Unfortunately, I had to retire early.
Yes, of course.
Which I didn't really plan on, but I worked for Michelle and Yvonne, mainly Yvonne, because Michelle's been at university for nearly the last 3 years, and did a lot of my NZQA through them and national certificates and whatnot, and heaps of stuff. Definitely was a game changer for me. I worked in hospitality and really wanted a change, so the job came up there and I took it.
It was interesting because the feedback, fantastic feedback. So they clearly all miss you.
Yeah, I really miss my clients. Yeah,
now,
I do.
I've seen you every week for a long, long time at RDA, and
I don't actually. I would have loved to have stayed at RDA and helped out, but I just don't have the time. So just once a year, I run the fundraiser for them,
right?
Just as the fundraising show. So which we've got on Sunday, which is going to be huge. Other than that, Jane Neal's a good friend of mine, and we've always helped each other out and things like that.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So move on to another part. How old were you when you first started dating?
Probably 15.
Do you remember your first date?
No.
Can't have been that fantastic.
No.
Yeah. When did you first meet Matt?
I first met Matt probably about 3 years ago. Yeah, about nearly 3 years ago. Yeah.
Do you remember the first date with Matt?
I wouldn't really call it a date. We were just, it was on a Wild Foods night, so I guess it's just sort of one of those things.
Those wild food festivals.
Yeah, I think a lot of people meet their partners on a Wild Foods night, actually, and it's like, it's a very common occurrence.
How would you describe Matt? What do you most admire about him?
Well, he puts up with me, which is definitely a 10 out of 10. Because
right.
Even when I wasn't sick, I'm probably a bit of hard work. But it's quite funny because the Wrights and the Scotts have always had quite a strong relationship over the years, and my granddad's brother George Wright, he actually married a Scot. So
wow.
Yeah, I think Gloria Wright was one of Matt's aunties, I think. Yeah, so the Wrights and the Scotts have always had quite a good relationship.
How long have you been together?
Nearly 3 years.
Fantastic. Actually, it doesn't seem that long.
No, not really.
Now, you've got 2 children. You've got Katie
Yep.
and Jimmy.
Yep.
If you could send a message to Katie to help her and guide her in the future, like all of us as parents, I try to give messages to my 3. Doesn't always work out. I do my best. What would your message be to Katie?
Just try hard and keep at your education and really look after yourself, because at the end of the day, that's what you've got to do.
And if you had a message for Jimmy, what would that be?
Basically the same. Keep at your education and try hard, and definitely I'd tell them both to believe in themselves a bit more and, look after yourself.
How did you feel on that first day when the first of your kids went to school? Was it a difficult day or?
Oh, it's always a bit weird. I think any parent will say that. Yeah, it's a bit weird. You sort of, it's a wee bit. You're sort of sad, but you're sort of happy at the same time because you get a bit of relief. But it's interesting.
Do you remember hearing your grandparents describe their lives?
No, oh yeah, Nana still talks about her life and that, but she grew up in Motoroa and that, and has some pretty interesting stories growing up down there. But yeah, Granddad passed away when I was only quite little, so I didn't really remember him talking much about anything like that. Yeah,
it's quite interesting, Samarra. The interviews that I've been doing, very few people. In fact, I've only come across one that's met 4 grandparents. Most are very lucky. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No.
What would you consider the most important inventions that you've seen in your lifetime?
Most important inventions. Oh gosh, a lot of equestrian equipment. I couldn't even begin to tell. I'd have a list as long as my arm. Probably mobile phone and laptop, vital. Mobile
phones kind of changed the world, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, they're pretty much part of your body. Really, it's like another limb. So if you lose it, you're buggered.
And would that be the major difference that you've seen between when you were a kid and now for kids?
Yeah, it's pretty humorous actually. I was actually telling a friend's kids not long ago about when we were younger and we liked a boy or something like that, and there was no texting or anything back then, or no Instagram or Snapchat or nothing. And they were like, well, what did you do? And I said, well, you normally sent your mate round to their house to knock on their door and got them to come outside, or you got your mate to ring up their house while their mum answered the phone and then put you on. And they were like, oh, which is true. It's true. And kids these days just wouldn't handle that. It's like...
And now it's all texting and
it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
During your life, have you come across a person that changed the course of your life? Someone where you go, gee, I'm so glad I met that person.
Yeah, there's too many people to name really. Probably all of my equestrian instructors have been a major impact on me. And probably some of my employers as well. I've always had a pretty good relationship with my employers. There's not many that I haven't. Those are the people that have really changed the course for me, paved the way.
How would you describe your sense of humour? I can really tell you've got a good one.
It's probably a bit dry at times, but yeah, you sort of get over that. I think most of us South Westlanders are a wee bit like that, but
and South Westlanders, they don't tolerate fools, do they?
No, we don't.
and I hope that never changes. Yeah, Samarra, have you ever met any famous people?
Oh gosh. I don't think I really have, no. People I consider famous in the equestrian world, like I went away on the weekends to Equidays and met a few people I considered famous, but other people would go, well, who's that? Sort of thing. But
yeah, good point. It's relative, isn't it?
Yeah, no. I was actually in a pub once and met Monty Beefham, which is pretty cool because I'm a big league fan, you know, and boxing fan.
Is he as big as he looks?
He wasn't huge, but yeah, he's
Big, yeah.
And bloody nice guy. Yeah, ended up getting on the booze from a bit and having a laugh, and yeah, top bloke, real top bloke.
Now you'd have won a few awards with the horses. What were they for? Anything in particular that you recall was, gee, this is great?
Oh, heaps. Believe it or not, out of all of them, probably the most special one was probably last year, and I actually rode one of Brenda Viney's horses, or Brenda Simmerton's horses, at Wurra and Peugeot, and won champion. It was only the second time I'd ever ridden in a Western saddle, and we went and picked up champion. I'd never even ridden the horse before in my life. I just went and jumped on, and yeah, here you go. Chloe Singer popped me on it. Yeah, no, take him. Where you go, he'll be sweet. Okay, cool. And we walked away with champion, so I was really happy about that. And you know, Waterroa is a special place to our family, and yeah, no, it was really cool. And probably riding in Reefton Rodeo was pretty cool too. Even though I got eliminated in the barrel racing, that was a real buzz. that was really cool. I'm glad I can say that I've done it.
If there was a time and a place that you remember feeling truly at peace and happy, where would it be? Just a time in your life where you went, gee, this is just fantastic.
Probably a lot of the times when I'm just with my family. I think that's probably the special times for me, particularly at the moment. Yeah, sort of when you get sick, it's sort of like one of those things. It's like, well, family is, you know, the gold.
What's the most beautiful place in the world that you've ever visited?
Well, Waterroa would have to be one. If I didn't say that, Jessica Kennedy would be really, really angry at me. Honestly, there's just so many. I've gone out on treks and that, and done some amazing rides. So yeah, I mean, just New Zealand in general is probably the most beautiful place in the world. I think we're pretty lucky.
So, if there was a memorable moment in your life, I've had two or three where I go, geez, that was close, or whatever, you know. What would it be?
Oh gosh, so many. Probably when I was coaching kids at rugby league, and one time we went right through to the grand final and won it. That was pretty amazing. And I just had a heap of under 10-year-old kids that are now pretty much grown up to be men.
Yeah.
And yeah, even some of them, when I run into them now, they're like, remember when we won that grand final? Yeah, mate. Yeah, that was cool, man. That was cool.
Now, if there were any lessons that you could pass on to the younger ones out there today, would there be a lesson that you could pass on in life?
Stay at school, get your education, do as you're told. If you want something, work hard for it.
Well, that there, Coasters, is a South Westland girl sees the world, and I don't think you need to expand on that too much at all. So if you look back in your life, were there any turning points? And quite clearly, motor neuron disease is a turning point. Outside of that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a disease we've had in our family for 5 generations now, and over the years my family have been very quiet about the disease because, you know, a lot of them are quite private people, which I completely respect. But I feel that it's time to blow this up public for people to actually realise that, wow, you know, this is bad. This is really bad, you know. 5 generations of a West Coast family with this horrendous disease. There's been over 20 lose their lives. There's actually currently 3 of us with the disease in the family. More carrying the gene. And you just never know what's around the corner. I didn't plan on any of this, and part of me wishes I was more prepared, but it is what it is.
So, at this stage, there's no cure, is there?
There's absolutely no cure. No treatment and no cure.
And you're still walking around, albeit now you've started to limp?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, we originally thought that I needed a hip replacement and that I'd had a fall off a horse last year, and that's what had probably caused it. But yeah, just sort of set off from that really, and I just lost all the muscles in my left leg, and rest is history really.
So what happens from here?
Um,
Dare I ask?
it goes downhill, and mine is quite aggressive. Um, yeah, it's hard to explain really, but it basically it takes away everything that makes you you. It takes away, excuse me, your dignity, just everything. Like I'm not looking forward to having to have someone put me to bed, bring me to the toilet, put me in the shower. I've always been very independent, so it's these things that really you sort of sit there and go, this is what's going to happen. But you just got to take it as it comes. It is what it is.
With the research that's going on, is there any chance?
America is doing some amazing things with the gene therapy research. They've actually had trials running recently, and they're just waiting for some more positive results off it. Some people it has worked on, some people it hasn't. Some people that have the particular gene strain as us, so far it's the only motor neuron in the world that they are close to cracking. And just ye to mind that America and Canada actually call motor neuron disease ALS.
ALS?
ALS, not MND, ALS. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Goodness me. Well, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I see a young lady being taken down in the prime of her life. That's what I see, and I'm just so terribly sad.
Yeah, you sort of. Some days I have sad days. Sometimes mainly I have good days. I have a lot of support crew. I have, fortunately, the late Mel Bradley, who passed away from motor neurone disease a few months ago. I was lucky enough to gain all her cheerleaders that she had. And they sort of, some of them I hardly even knew, and they just sort of come forward and said, well, we don't care what you say, we're going to help you, because this is what Mel would have wanted. So, and it's true, because when I actually first started feeling not so good, I actually contacted Mel and talked to her about it, because I knew her quite well anyway. And she also agreed with me that she thought that I had pretty much diagnosed myself, which I had, unfortunately, and she just gave me instructions what to do, and right, you need to do this, you need to do that. Don't push people away if they try and help you, just Mel being Mel, the amazing human that she was. So yeah, whenever I sort of have a bit of a down day and think, I always think there's someone in the world worse off than me, so, and there is, and I sort of always think, right, Mel wouldn't want to see me like this. And also another battler who was very similar to Mel was my cousin, late cousin Sharon Nolan, or Sharon Mates, or Sharon Wright, who also passed away from MND, and I looked after her quite a bit, and she was a real trooper. So I always think, right, if Sharon was here right now, she'd be telling me to pull myself together and get on with my day. So
I knew Sharon and Marty quite well.
Yeah.
And once again, very, very chucks. What do you say?
Yeah, very tragic.
Well, I guess we wrap it up here, and thank you so much for talking to me. You've got so much support in this community. It is unbelievable.
It is. It's pretty amazing. I even had the Heather Brunton, the MND nurse for the South Island, come and visit me, and she was like, I can't believe this town with supporting people. She said, I've never been to a town like this in my life. Like, that supports people with this disease. It's just amazing. So, yeah, keep it up, Hoki. You're all awesome.
Well, on that note, we'll catch you later.